In 1922, with the K-8s nearing completion, the Netherlands began its next class of 3 subs. These were the 688-ton surfaced and 828-ton submerged K-11 class. These were double-hulled boats that introduced the 533mm torpedo to their subs. This was odd as they didn't go all in. Instead, they carried a mix of 533mm and 450mm torpedoes. Remember that logistics problem thing? Like their predecessors, they were pretty worn out by the start of the war and were realistically too small. With spares hard to come by, they were relegated to training pretty quick. K-11 was started December 9, 1922 and was completed March 24, 1925. K-12 was started January 9, 1923 and was completed May 19, 1925. K-13 was started October 15, 1923 and was completed March 29, 1926. The main armament was 2 forward 533mm torpedo tubes, each with a reload, 2 forward 450mm torpedo tubes, each with a reload, and 2 aft 450mm torpedo tubes, each with a reload. One 88mm deck gun was fitted forward of the sail. Propulsion on the surface was provided by 2 diesel engines that provided 4,800 horsepower to recharge the batteries and run the 2 propellers up to 17 knots. While submerged, they ran on batteries that powered the motors, which provided 1,308 horsepower for a top speed of 8 knots. Test diving depth was 60 meters. K-11 was in the East Indies on May 10, 1940 and stayed there. On December 7, 1941, she was already patrolling the Gulf of Thailand and began hunting Japanese shipping off the Malay Peninsula's east coast. While she made several attacks during the first few months, constant mechanical problems often sent her back to port for repairs. With the fall of the East Indies in March 1942, she sailed to Sri Lanka. In April, she patrolled the Indian Ocean until the threat of Japanese invasion of Sri Lanka had passed. Afterward, she was relegated to ASW training and mostly operated between Karachi and Bombay until 1945. In late February 1945, she left Bombay and sailed to Fremantle, doing a war patrol in the East Indies along the way in March. Soon after arriving in Fremantle in April, she was decommissioned. K-12 was also in the East Indies on May 10, 1940, and stayed there. When the Pacific War started, she also was already patrolling the Gulf of Thailand and started hunting Japanese shipping. First along the Malay Peninsula, then around the southern East Indies. In mid-March 1942, she sailed to Fremantle and essentially stayed in Australian waters for the rest of the war as a training sub. K-13 was, like most, in the East Indies when Germany conquered the Netherlands. Staying there, she also was patrolling the Gulf of Thailand when the Pacific War broke out and started hunting Japanese ships along the Malay Peninsula's east coast. While in Singapore on December 21st, her battery exploded, so she had to limp to Surabaya for repairs. She was still there when Java fell at the start of March 1942 and was scuttled.